welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Today we're going to talk about the power of the mind and how by understanding the mind more and more, you can control or have more effect on the way you want your life to go. Excuse me one sec. Let me make it a little brighter in here. There we go. Um, so we're really going to talk about how we can use our minds to our advantage this morning, and it's really exciting. And I'm so glad that you're joining me for this. And if you're joining me for the replay, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to make this happen just whenever it serves you. So before we really dive in, maybe we could just all close our eyes, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and let's just take a few deep breaths here, separately but together. Coming into this space, coming into this day, coming into this practice, and knowing that if you believed that it was important enough for you to show up for this right here, right now, that there's something meaningful here for you today. That there's something here that will be helpful for you and that will change your life in the ways that you desire. So we just open our hearts and our minds and our bodies to whatever healing, to whatever wisdom, and to whatever growth is available for us all today. And we might all breathe that in together and let it go. Amazing. Okay, so let's jump right in. This month, I'm talking all about manifestation and visualization and creating the life that you want to live. And this isn't just some like pie in the sky, like be more abundant, like think positive thoughts and you'll get positive results. Like that's not what this is about. This is about a conversation about how our brains are wired and how when we understand how our brains are wired, we can use this organ in our skull to work for us instead of just receiving what it hands us as automatic truth or fact. Okay? So, so today we're talking about what's called the reticular activating system, okay? And the reticular activating system is this mechanism inside of the brain that filters information. We think and we experience millions of thoughts and sensation and bits of information coming into our field all the time. Just millions and millions and millions of bits of information coming into our field constantly. And so this is such an interesting conversation that I love to have in this realm and with my clients because it's so important for us to know this one key element that is that the body and the brain are always working to conserve energy, right? So they're trying to do what's easiest for you and not necessarily what's best for you. And honestly, I could end the conversation right there. I feel like that's the key piece of information that so many of us are missing. And I'll say it again. It's that the brain and the body are trying to do what's easiest for you and not necessarily what's best for you. So anything in the brain or in the body, like if you think about it like a bicep curl, like the more bicep curls you do, the stronger your bicep becomes, right? The more you use it, the easier it becomes for you to use it. The same is true with the pathways in our brains. So we form these neural pathways that when you think a thought, it zooms down this highway, right? And the newer that the thought is, the harder it is to zoom down the highway. But the more frequently you think that thought, the more your brain will start to open up that pathway and say, gee, Casey, if you're thinking this thought about how scared you are about life every single day, I'm just going to make it really easy for you. I'm going to widen that pathway for you so you can just fall right into it without any snags and you can just economize. Since you're thinking that way, all day, every day, I'm just going to open that pathway for you so that you can slide into it more effortlessly, right? So my brain didn't ever stop to question, like, are these thoughts that you're thinking every day leading you in the direction that you want to go? Are they helpful for you? Are they positive for you? Do they make you feel good? Do they help you create the life of your dreams? No. The brain never intercepts in that way. The brain just says, oh, you're going to do this all the time? Let me help you. I also give this this image for my clients. Like so many of us have what's called like forward head syndrome or like tech neck because we're always used to like typing and we text this way and we drive this way. So everything in our life kind of pulls us forward. So my body, when left to its own devices, isn't going to say, hey, Casey, your posture is really going to lead you down a bad road. It's going to lead you astray here. Rather, my body's going to say, oh, wait, you're like always in this position. Cool. So let's stretch these muscles out really long and then we'll lock them in. And then let's tighten these muscles really short and then we'll lock those in. And then we're just going to make it really easy for your body to hold this position since it's where you find yourself to be most of the time. Right? And so that's how then we would get rounded forward, our posture gets all funked up, our our neck is out of alignment, et cetera, et cetera. But then we carry that posture over time, and that's the shape that our bodies take. Unless we intercept and say, oh no, wait, how about more alignment and posture and balance on all sides? And then we can consciously intercept that and create a new pattern that our body then becomes accustomed to and will protect and fight for and support in the same way. Okay, so if there's anything that you learn from this morning's conversation, it's really that the brain and the body are always trying to save energy. All right, they're always trying to do the least, which will kind of always keep us on the path of least resistance when we are unintentional, when left to our own devices. So today is a conversation about how we can flip that script and use those economizing filters inside of our brain to intentionally move us forward instead of simply recreating the status quo, the path of least resistance again and again and again. Here is something else that's helpful to know about the brain. Again, unless consciously intercepted and given new information, the brain can only create the future based on what it has already known or experienced in the past. Okay? So the brain, by definition, it only knows what it knows. It only knows what you give it. Okay? So then the brain, because it's always doing its job for you, when you think about the future, is going to use the data from the past, the experiences you've experienced in the past, and it's going to use all the rules that it makes up from what's happened to you in the past, all the beliefs that it's formed about what's happened to you in the past. It's going to use all that data, and it's just going to shove it onto your future, okay? And so the brain literally cannot create a future that is different from the past unless we intercept it, unless we sort of spoon feed it these new thoughts, these new possibilities, these new neural pathways that we want to experience instead. Okay? So I've really just sort of dove right in here. So if at any time, if you have any questions or you want to add any of your own experience or what this means to you into the chat, I'd love to receive that. So let me sort of tell you more about what I know about this tool for manifestation. So I already said that the body and the brain are always conserving energy. They're doing what's easiest for us and not necessarily what's best. So this reticular activating system is meant for efficiency, right? It's the go-to setting that we want, and it's because it's taking the most amount of information, sensory information, and processing it on the most foundational level. So if your reticular activating system is really working for you, and if it's seeing the things that you want it to see, and it's focused on the things you want it to be focused on, man, you're on the right track. That's amazing. But if your reticular activating system is filtering for things that you want to move away from, or patterns that you're looking to intercept or change, then that's problematic, because the most base, fundamental, foundational filtering layers of your brain are going to filter according to the rules that you've sort of been living your life by. So it behooves us to go back and examine those and reteach our reticular activating system to see things differently. So before we go any farther, let's do a little exercise. So we can actually engage the reticular activating system by sort of like lifting up our chest, looking up and then looking out onto the horizon and then lifting our gaze up about 45 degrees. Then you can just hold that way. So if you look straight forward and then you gaze up just about 45 degrees and just let your eyes drift up. And without moving them back or forth or up or down, just start to experience this expanded awareness. Start to notice anything in your eye line that you're present to that you weren't present to before. And as you hold your gaze just about 45 degrees above the horizon, begin to open your ears to things that you may not have heard in the same way before. Maybe you notice sounds throughout your house, above or below you. Maybe it's your own stomach growling or your partner in the next room. Just allow your awareness to expand as you just breathe in and breathe out. And as you're ready, you can draw your gaze back down. That's a tool that you can use at any time, any place, anywhere, to literally expand your brain's focus, okay? And so I know it's subtle, but that's kind of what we're getting at is this, if you think about your human experience, and there is data, I can put it in the chat. I'm sorry that I didn't, or I can put it in the, when I post this later, there's literally like, we take in millions and millions and millions of particles of data in any given moment. And so our system, if our system was left to parse through that and to see each individual piece of data individually, we would, I don't even know who or what we would be. We wouldn't be able to individually process each amount of sensory, data information that comes into us at any given time. So this is such an amazing vehicle in the brain that's going to just automatically filter things for what we want to see, for what we need to see, for what we're looking for. And so it's a beautiful tool. But if we don't know that that tool is there, then we might just take everything that our brain gives us as truth or fact. So this is just an examination of what are these filters in your brain and what is it filtering for? So let me tell you a few things that might be helpful for you to know about the reticular activating system. It incorporates lots of different layers of the brain and it alerts us to things. So when I decide what I want in my life, that becomes really important to my brain, and my brain's going to start looking for that information anywhere it can find it. So like I bought a Mini Cooper many years ago, and when I bought a Mini Cooper, guess what I started seeing all over the road, right? Mini Coopers. Right? I bet you've experienced something like that too. So when your mind starts to care about something, you see more of it. And it's not because more of it, the amount of Mini Coopers on the road changed. It was that my mind cared about them now, and it was looking and scanning my environment, the data that was coming into my brain, looking for this particular type of car. So that's a really good example of what the reticular activating system does, and how when it cares about something, it's going to find that for you. Okay. So for us, it's important to kind of roll around best case scenarios whenever we can, because when we're in that expectant energy, when we're expecting good things to happen to us, when our brain is trained to look for the good things or look for joyful, connected experiences, then our system will start to filter more for that. So, part of this is the art of seeing a silver lining. And again, this isn't a conversation about spiritual bypassing or just making things positive when they aren't. If you coach with me, a big part of this is like honoring your emotions and processing your emotions and not skipping over that part. That part's super important. But the part we're talking about today is these, the past couple of weeks we've been talking about habitual emotions and what it's like when you live in these these emotions that have become part of your identity over and over and over again. So this week, all we're doing is we're having a similar conversation just about the mind. Is where do you want to be focused on? Where do you want your filters to be set so that you can be set up for success, so that you can be primed, your system can be primed to receive more of what you want instead of what you don't want. So, a reticular activating system will often focus on the realm of, or the ideas of reality that most closely match the reality that we have going on the inside. So, our reticular activating system will see more things on the outside that match the way we're feeling or experiencing life on the inside. Okay, so I think that's really powerful that it's going to look for evidence on the outside to match or confirm or reinforce the way you're feeling on the inside. Okay, so it matters how you feel, just talking about emotions. One idea that it might be helpful for you to be aware of is, we have the laws of the universe, and one of the laws of the universe is the law of increase, and it's one of the the cornerstones of manifestation that whatever we put our attention on grows. So the reticular activating system will essentially be able to show us more of what we're already focusing on. So it matters what we focus on. And so this is probably one of the most important keys as I kind of come here to the end. Not really to the end of what I have to say, but I have a few more things to say. But this feels really pressing is that so the subconscious mind does not process in negatives. Okay. And you may have heard this before when it comes to thought work or manifestation or specifically creating more abundance. So the subconscious mind focuses on the content, but it doesn't understand negatives. It doesn't understand negations in words. So the easiest example I can use to display this is if you say to yourself, I don't want to be in debt. I don't want to be in debt. I want to be out of debt. I just want to get out of debt. I don't want to be in debt. So while that's a benevolent intention to move you to becoming debt free, all the subconscious mind hears over and over is debt, debt, debt. And then your system holds the associated feelings inside of it. So really from a manifestation, from a creation standpoint, your thoughts and your feelings are all still focused on debt, even though you're telling yourself that that's not what you want. So please know that the reticular activating system, your subconscious, doesn't process negatives. So as you focus on not wanting debt or sadness or fear in your mind, if you're connected to those ideas, it will show you more opportunities for debt, sadness, and fear. So when it comes to these practices, you want to say it how you want it, and you also want to see it how you want it. The thing about the brain, the system, is it doesn't know the difference between something that is real that has happened and something that is imagined. So when your body feels the feelings of those things, it doesn't know the difference between reality and imagined. So when we can create conditions in our minds and the feelings that are associated with those thoughts, we can convince our body that these things are really happening to us, right? Which makes it easier for us to call more things like that into our system, because we know that the reticular activating system will call things on the outside to match whatever's happening on the inside. Okay? So, for me and my work with the clients that I do, this reticular activating system, I can see when clients are bringing something that we've talked about online because their view of the world starts to shift. And it starts to shift in a very embodied way. It becomes part of who they are and not just something that we're talking about on the surface. So, really, like, it's important to know that your brain and your body, like, this whole system is dynamic and it can change in a moment. It can reprogram in just a single moment or intention. So notice the reprogramming more and more and more, and your body will start to work with you. And really, all of this is a system, a loop between the brain and the body, the thoughts and the feelings. So if you can think thoughts about what it is that you want to create in your life and then live in the feelings that those thoughts evoke, then your body doesn't know the difference between your imagination and what's happening in your life. And imagination will always win. Imagination will always win. So if you can see it in your mind's eye, if you can see it in your imagination, then you can create it in human form. So, the reticular activating system helps you to recognize things in your awareness that you might not have recognized before. The more you think about something in your consciousness, the more it opens up in your reality. And then the more your cells of recognition in your mind and your body will start to awaken, and it will really become who you are. So here's the thing is if your mind is not open to the change that you're trying to make or the life that you're trying to create, if your mind is resistant to it, you don't really stand the possibility of creating it. Like you don't, it's very hard. Then we're talking about forcing things, making things to happen, using your willpower to make things happen. And that can work for a period of time, but willpower is always finite, right? So those efforts will more than likely be short-lived. But your imagination will always win over willpower. So if you can dream about these changes, if you can see your mind and notice the filters, notice how you're scanning things and start to shift the way you see information, literally the way you process information into your life, then you're not using force or willpower to make changes. You're making changes from a very deep subconscious level. And when we make changes from this very deep subconscious level, then the whole system can be brought online with our thoughts, with our affirmations, with our integrative practices to support that change, right? Instead of just strong arming and willpowering our way through. So I know that this has been a lot of information, but really the key, my friends, is that if you can see it, you can be it. So this is a conversation about drawing awareness to the filters that are in your mind, how you process information, noticing those filters, and beginning to build new filters that lead you where you want to go. So we're going to do a couple of breath practices, but before we do, I'd like to offer you just a few journal prompts, a few questions that I'd like to ask you, so that you can help know how to do this work for yourself. So I think one of the main questions that you can ask yourself is, what are the thoughts that I find myself thinking really frequently throughout the day, right? Or it might even be like, it might even be from a story perspective. Like, what's the story that I'm contributing to every day? And this is why having a coach is helpful, because sometimes it's hard to see exactly what these things are for yourself. But if you know yourself, you probably have a good inkling of like, what's the story? What's the tried and true? Like, is it sort of like, see, bad things always happen to me? Like, see, here's another person not doing what I want them to do. Or here's another person not doing what they said they were going to do. Or here's another thing of life letting me down, right? Those are some, like, I tend to work with people a lot with sort of like a victim mindset, or that's kind of like, you know, and there's a lot of evidence for it, like that life is hard or that life has handed you hard things, but then that becomes our filter that we use in our reticular activating system. Or see, he never does what I want him to do, or he never does the right thing, or see, this relationship is never going to work, or see, I can never have money, or see, yeah, that's not for me. I knew that wasn't for me. I knew I couldn't do that. So it's like these thoughts that it's like, see, there's more evidence. There's more proof. Whenever you find yourself having those conversations in your mind, like, see, I told you so, that's where I would like you to pause. That's where I would encourage you to pause. And because that's clearly a story that you're adding data, adding evidence to. So those are your opportunities to say, wait, how am I filtering information here? Am I filtering for other people to be wrong, for myself to be wrong, for life to be wrong? Like, what am I filtering for? And so start to really get present to those stories that you tell yourself throughout the day. Okay? And then the second is, and we're going to practice this together here in a second, is I would really encourage you to build some daydreaming time into your day. And I would really encourage it to be both at morning and at night. And it could just be 5 minutes. And here is what I would recommend to you. I would recommend that you pick a song that makes you feel like you're in a movie. that makes you feel like you're the star of your own movie, because guess what, you are. And this could be like your theme song for the season of your life, of what you're trying to create. Maybe you're trying to create success in your business, or maybe you're trying to create harmony in your relationship or in your family. Maybe you're trying to overcome something inside of yourself that you haven't been able to overcome up until this point. You're really going for it hard. Maybe you're pushing at work or redefining yourself at work. Whatever it is that you're going through, right? Wherever it is that you want to create a new outcome that you haven't been able to create for yourself up until this point, find a song that represents that for you. And listen to it when you wake up in the morning, and listen to it when you go to bed at night. And your only job when you listen to the song for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 8 minutes or however many minutes it is just to close your eyes and daydream about what you're trying to create in your life and see it going beautifully. See everything working swimmingly. See it in your mind's eye. What will you see? What will you feel? What will you hear? Who will be around you? What will they be saying to you? What, everything that you can think of, flush it out, make it in color, make it vibrant, make it speak to you so that you can get those feelings on the inside as though it had already happened. Okay? And do that. Do that for 1 month. Just daydream in the morning, daydream at night, and come back to me and see what happens. I bet it will be amazing. Here's one caveat. Your brain will freak the beep out when you try to do this, right? You'll turn your music on, you'll get going, and if you're anything like me, this is how it will happen. You'll go and you'll start dreaming, and then you'll think of something really brilliant that like you haven't created yet up until this point, and then your brain will be like, oh no, but you can't do this because of this logistic, but you'll need this person or this camera, or you don't have that, or you don't, right? It'll give me all this reason why no, we can't do that yet. So our job, my job, your job in that moment, if you wish to accept it, is to override the mind and just say, la, 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 la. I know that I don't have all the details worked out. I know I don't have all the logistics. This isn't a logistic assignment. This is a daydreaming assignment. It's not a figure it out. It's not a figure out how to make it happen. It's just allow your brain, your reticular activating system, to start to see things that it hasn't seen before, to start to consider possibilities that it hasn't allowed you to entertain up until this point, to start to see what other scenarios, what other pathways could be possible, and then feel the associated feelings. That is the key, is to dream it, but then to let your body be excited and to feel all of the amazing emotions that go along with you creating what it is you're trying to create. Okay? And know that your brain will want to talk you out of it. That's literally its job. And you just don't let it. You say, you know what, we'll just get to those logistics later, and you will, right? But not for this exercise. Okay? So that's your homework for the next month. Come back, report to me, let me know how it goes. For now, we're going to just finish our practice together by doing some breath work, and then we're going to actually stimulate the Agna chakra, the third eye chakra, which is the seat of where all of this, so much of this good stuff is taking place, where the pineal gland lives right behind your eyes, and the pineal gland actually kind of controls how much light enters into the system, which then in turn regulates all of our hormonal processes. And so I thought that by stimulating that gland, it could kind of send a message to our internal systems, our reticular activating system, to maybe let more light in, or to let light in a new way, so that we could start to see things a little bit differently and see new and beautiful things that are possible. Because if you can see it, you can be it. If you can see it, you can achieve it. All right, my friends. So if you like to blow your nose, that might be helpful. I'm not going to do that now because it's a little bit gross to do that on camera, but hopefully that won't come back to bite me. So we're going to do Nadi Shodhana for 3 minutes. And I chose this practice not only because we stimulate the third eye with the fingers as we're doing it, again, which is the seat of just inner wisdom, deep, deep knowledge in the brain. but also like the seat of these mechanisms that we're actually talking about in the mind. So for Nadi Shodhana, we're going to stimulate the third eye, but then we alternate nostrils. That's what it means, is alternate nostril breathing. And this type of breathing really brings clarity, brings balance to the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And the more those hemispheres are in balance, the more access you have to imagination and beautiful things like that. So we'll start with Nadi Shodhana, and then we'll do a short Kundalini Kriya today, and then I'll send you on your way. So all we do is bring the peace fingers to the center of your forehead. Close your right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale through your left nostril. Close your left nostril with your ring finger and exhale through your right. Inhale through your right. Close your right, exhale through your left. Inhale through the left. Close the left, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. And continue. Breathe long, slow, deep, and full. Drawing your awareness up and inward. Keep breathing. Keep your awareness turned inward. Complete whichever breath cycle you're in. And release. Come into receptivity pose. Just turn your palms up and set them in your lap. Soften your eyes to close if that feels safe, and just breathe in and out. As you're ready, blink your eyes open. Hopefully you'll be able to see me, but really know that this Kriya doesn't really require a lot of being able to see me. So I'm just on my knees here, and I like to use a block kind of down in front of my face. And you can use a pillow. I've also got a meditation cushion. So this is just a very easy Kriya. Again, it's a Kundalini Kriya to stimulate this Agna chakra, third eye center. So I'm just going to place my hands down on the mat to support myself. And then as I exhale, I just touch my forehead down to the earth. So you can touch down to your cushion, to the floor, to a pillow, to a block. I like the block because I don't like to go quite as far down. And we're going to do this like for a couple of minutes, right? And so we're just going to lift and lower, right? And the whole intention is it's just sort of like the whole intention of the Kriya is just this sort of spirit of worship, of just sort of surrender and like pouring out to something greater, but then also like connecting this very sacred, like the seat of your inner wisdom down to the earth to stimulate the center, to stimulate the hormonal regulation on the inside. And really, like, our intention here is that we would just ask our mind to open up this reticular activating system, to let more light in, to expand our awareness, that we might see our filters, and be able to update them as we want. So as you do this, your job isn't to try to figure out which filters that you want to upgrade. This is behind the scenes. Now we're just going to let the yoga and the kriya and the asana and the breath take over and sort of complete this work in ways that maybe our mind isn't available to us right now. Okay, so we won't go for the full 3, but I'm going to search for about 2 minutes here. Just take it at your own pace, whatever works for you, and just make sure you make contact, third eye, to whatever it is that you're touching down to. Ready? Begin. And as you're doing this, you might think about going cross-eyed, but with your eyes closed. So go cross-eyed, but instead of looking down the point of your nose, look up and in towards the center of your brain. That's your third eye chakra, right in there, right? The seat of knowing, your seat of intuition, of internal wisdom. So you can not only stimulate that with the physicality of the Kriya here, but also just draw your gaze up and in, up and in, up and in. And there's nothing harmful about a third eye. It's just the way we refer to this sort of internal mechanism in the brain. And it is one way for us to describe and encapsulate our intuition. That somewhere inside of us is this deep knowingness. And so maybe that resonates, that you find it here in the center of the organ of your brain. Keep going. Keep breathing. Keep intending. Just a few more here. One more right here. And then just receptivity pose. Turn your palms up. Just be with whatever is. And now, with your eyes closed, just stay inward. And for the last few minutes together here, just if it feels right, bring a soft, sweet smile to your face. And just start to dream and imagine. If there's anything that you're faced with in your day today that's sort of plaguing you, can you just imagine it going beautifully? Can you imagine it going better than you would have ever imagined previous to this conversation? Let it all work out. See it going differently than it ever has before. Open up your mind to new possibilities and then let yourself feel those feelings. If it feels right, just bring a soft smile to your lips. Communicate to your body, to your brain, to your system, these feelings of deep joy as you dream about whatever it is in your life. What will you see? When it all works, when it all goes great, what will you see? See it in your mind's eye. Let it come alive. Allow yourself to feel the feelings when you see all of those things. Who will be around you? What will you hear? What will people say to you? When it all goes well, when it all works, what will you hear? What will you see? Who will be there? And finally, what will you feel when it all works out? When it all turns out better than you could even hope? Let yourself smile. Let yourself feel it as though it were reality. Just go in. I'm not playing any music because then my video will get taken down, but you just play the soundtrack of your life in your head. Just dream away. Dream away. See a new possibility. See a new path. Let your mind dream about it. Get excited right here, right now. Keep dreaming. Breathe it in. It's okay if your mind gives you examples of how it won't work. That's okay. Just skip over those. Don't give them any attention. You can figure that part out later. That's not what this is for. Just dream, baby, dream. See it going well. Live in that energy. Live in that feeling. Can you feel it? Make it come more alive, even more. Keep seeing, keep feeling, keep dreaming. And then as you're ready, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me today. How was that for you? I hope that you left today just with a little more information about how your brain functions, and that if we train our eyes only on the things that we don't want, we're going to keep seeing more of the things that we don't want. But if we train our mind, our system, our reticular activating system on the new things that we want to draw in instead, then our mind will start to care about those things and look for more of those things. And then you'll see more evidence of those things, which will make it in turn easier to believe and live into those things. So know your brain, use your brain, don't let it use you. Be on to yourself. Notice the stories that you're writing. Whenever you see yourself, oh, see, this is more evidence for that, pause and know that you have an opportunity to see things in a different way to create a different result. If you would like to continue this work or to know how it can apply to your specific life and what you're dealing with more intimately, I'd love to coach with you one-on-one. So reach out to me. There's actually a scheduling tool in my link tree that you can just schedule the initial consult, and we'll get that process started. I'm also offering what's called breakthrough packages that include 3 one-on-one sessions of hypnotherapy, EFT, and neural energetic encoding. And it's different for everyone, the combination that we use. But if there's something that you're trying to create in your life that you haven't been able to up until this point, we can use those amazing modalities to really work through that in a constant